very first day you were hired, I flew up here and you said the number one element of this program, the number one trait is going to be connection. Curious how you've seen it play out over 3 years in advance of the championship game.
Yeah, probably what's exciting for me is when our players just pop in my office and I ask them, what's the difference? You've been a part of a lot of teams, what's the difference? And they always bring that up. It's always the first thing they talk about, how close we are to our teammates, how close we are to our coaches. I think it just shows when we play. Even at the games where a game might be under control, and a younger guy might be in the game, how excited his teammates are for his success, I think speaks to how much a team loves each other, and this team certainly loves each other.
Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon. They storm the field at Autzen.
You also referenced that the most connected teams, they show up at their best when times of adversity show themselves.
Yeah.
Do you have a memory of this season as you look at the schedule?
We had a couple of those.
Yeah, what jumps to mind?
Just the calm within the chaos. I feel like we try to replicate a lot of things in practice. We feel like it'll show up in a game, but it's never the same. But our players' ability to recognize moments and not make the moment bigger than, the execution. And to go out there and realize, hey, we've been here for it. Let's go handle it. Let's be resilient. Let's be the team we know we can be. And I feel like we've done that multiple times.
Okay, so let's talk about moments, because you walk into this room, feel like every Monday, and you have a moment and a theme gets dropped for this team, and they're amazing, right? Whether it's are you not entertained, whether it's the noise doesn't matter, it's a heavyweight fight. Where do you find the time? Like, how do you ideate on what the message and theme will be?
A lot of it started this summer. I sit down, this guy that works with our program, Corey Schaefer, him and I kind of sat down and mapped out what we felt like within the moment each week that we're playing, what are some things that could show up in that moment, and then adjustable and adaptable too. We've had themes that we've had ready to roll and decided that's not the one to roll with when we got into a certain week, because you got to be able to read your team and adjust, but try to plan it out this summer and then see if it fits, and then continue to adapt as the season goes.
I believe an axiom in coaching is that if you're willing to take risks, you know that your team can handle the inverse of success. Is that fair for you and your coaching style with this team this year?
I think what's fair to say is that I know our team has my back, right? And they know I have their back. And, we're willing to go put it all on the line in those moments, because we know that at some point we're going to have to take care of each other. And our guys have continued to show that.
Connection was one. Growth, of course, mindset has been a huge part of this program. I hear you say that, and that's exactly what I think about, is this team is not afraid of the other side of the edge. Is that fair? And then how do you gauge that as a head coach?
I think the biggest thing that we probably preach a lot to our team and our coaches is self-awareness. I don't think if you don't know your weaknesses, you can never make them strengths. And our guys are really receptive to hearing, constructive criticism, to figuring out what are we not great at, and then understanding that we're going to incorporate that into practice, we're going to incorporate that in meetings, and make sure that we can take weaknesses and make them strengths. But if you can't ever acknowledge what's not strength, what's weakness, you're never going to be able to grow. And that's for everybody in our program. Like, what do we have to get better at? How can we improve? And we have a group that does that.
I love it, going to the doctors, right?
Going to the doctor.
Gabriel looking to take advantage of the deep ball. Jumps in the bucket, touchdown!
Strength is quarterback.
For sure.
One of any on this team. Offensive player of the year in Big Ten, year one, the Big Ten. I just love his journey, right? He's rocking number 8. He's from the 808. How has he grown in such a short period of time and fit into the traits that you've laid out for this entire team?
Yeah, what Dillon did an incredible job of when he got here, it wasn't about dominion, it was about connecting. Whether it's going on a retreat with the offensive unit, whether it's having guys over to his house for dinner, or spending fellowship with a teammate, or even a staff member. He did a great job of building those relationships first, and then it allowed him to become the player that he's been so far this season for us. A demanding guy on the field that plays with great passion, but always has place, always within, crazy circumstances.
That is a massive hit. Uyunglele lowered the shoulder.
Toughness, another one of those
Absolutely.
that you laid out. There's a version that you see when guys are running through people. We've seen that. Bryce Betcher, Mateo Uyunglele and company. There's also in between your ears. There's a toughness that's necessary. How has this team grown in both of those areas around that word?
Yeah, I think, everyone thinks of physical toughness. And I think the mental toughness is the part that's more important, right? To understand that, the path that you want to lead and the result that you want is going to require great mental toughness. And our team recognizes that. And we all need reminders, right, in moments. But if it's hard, it's probably worth it, right? And our guys have done a good job.
Sacrifice, you've referenced this word many times as part of a team. We all know that. When you look at the numbers of this team, you get 9 players with 10 or more catches. You play a ton of players on the defensive side. It's the greatest team sport on earth that's become relatively individualized in the current landscape. How do you navigate that at this place around that word sacrifice with this team?
You know, all the great teams that I've been a part of, you know, individual success is recognized through team success. I haven't been a part of a lot of teams that were great, that, you know, had a lot of guys with great individual success. And I think our players recognize that, you know, my success is going to come through our team having success. And if it's not my turn and somebody else's, that's something they're excited about. They have joy in that moment for their teammates, which is a special trait.
Championship environments, you've been in a bunch. Sometimes the joy can get sucked out because it's so tight. How are you going to talk to this team in advance of this championship weekend?
Well, just remind them what got us here, right? Play the game, not the occasion, right? And this is certainly an exciting occasion. It's a great game against a blue blood opponent. You know, it's an opportunity for us to go out there and showcase to the world who we are, but we do that by doing what we do Monday through Friday, right, on the practice field. So it's going to be a fun opportunity for us.
When you go back to Pitt, Arizona State, or any other stops, you've always been really curious, and you've had really good people around you. Phil Knight is a guy that's always around you and this team. We see him in the locker room and all the videos you guys share. Has he offered any advice as you've gone through uncharted waters for a long time, undefeated in the regular season of this program?
You know, Phil's unbelievable, and you know, he is one that's going to reserve advice unless you're asking for it, but I can promise you he's a guy that I'll ask advice for, and I think he's enjoying the ride just like we are. He's extremely proud of this university and what we've been able to accomplish so far, and he knows and recognizes that he's a huge part of that and what makes that happen.
A huge part of you is family. Both your parents were teachers. Have they said anything to you this year about how they've watched and observed how you've taught this team?
They haven't, but I think they've seen that my entire career. You know, I think they recognize that a lot of what I try to use in coaching are things and lessons that I've learned from them.
When you step onto the field Saturday night, will you take a moment and look around and be like, and that's a pretty cool story that we have in this point in 2014?
Maybe after the game.
Yeah, maybe after the game, not done yet.
Done yet.